Wait. That's better. Now there's not a big shadow over my face. And we're twins. Can't even tell us apart. Okay, so this is my second video in a row about Stray Kids album covers. I'm like really carving out a niche market for myself, aren't I? So, a week ago, over a week by the time I don't know when I'm gonna edit this and upload it. So I'm probably gonna be late now. But a week ago, Stray Kids released their fourth album called Karma. And if you aren't obsessive like me, you may not be aware that there were multiple album covers for Karma. They changed it. So originally when it was announced and pre-save first started, it looked like this. So it was kind of clear that it wasn't the official album cover, but knowing how they are sometimes, I was worried. Then the official digital cover was released, and this was it. And then they changed it to this. Apparently people on Twitter were bullying them into changing it because they said that it looked low effort and cheap and you couldn't see the members, and so they made something more low effort. Thanks, guys. So my opinion is I don't really think any of them are that good, but if I had to pick, it would be the Billboard one. I liked the typography on all of them. What I liked about the original typography is that the letters extended and then mirrored themselves, which I think is really cool and really smart and fitting because there are two sides to karma, and also yin and yang is another symbol that they were using a lot in the visuals. But in the new album cover, they are covering it, so you can't see what made that good, which frustrates me a lot. What I also don't like about the new one is the colors weren't very interesting. There wasn't a sense of space that even the crappy Billboard one had. Like, it felt like you were in a physical environment looking up and seeing this big billboard, which I like how that reflected the billboards that were in the trailer for the album. That like reflected the concept a little bit more, which if you don't know, the concept is kind of like this extreme sport event. It turned out to be like a video game, but it's basically this very big deal, kind of like the Olympics, but it's also set in the future. Wow, I did a great job of explaining it. Basically, it's very intense, very extreme, high profile, and I'm not getting that from this. Even from the original Billboard one, we were kind of getting there, but not quite. So I wanted to take a shot at redesigning it. I did have a few goals in mind. My 4 goals were to keep the original typography. Even though typography on album covers can be a little tricky, I thought it was good, and I wanted to like hold on to something from the original design. I also wanted to use more colors. I'm not a big fan of just the black on white, especially for this concept that can do a lot with the visuals. I also wanted it to have more of a sense of space, like I'm saying, like you are a person just going about your day and you see, oh my god, Stray Kids, oh my god, Karma, oh my god, it's this huge grand event ceremony. Yeah, I wanted it to keep the original typography, have more colors, have more depth to it, which in turn would reflect the concept. I want to reflect the concept more. Okay. Now, admittedly, I did not know where I was going with this. I started this project just like one night. I just felt like it. I just made some stuff. Some stuff is screen recorded, some stuff isn't. So there wasn't a lot of structure going on aside from those little goals that I had in my head. So with that being said, I'm going to try my best to explain my process. I started this a few weeks ago. Really, the only visuals I had to go off of were some of the concept photos and also the album trailer. So my first thought was I like the billboard. I like how that reflected the trailer. So let me try that a little bit. So I went to Adobe Stock and I found some billboard templates and I just started messing around with them. The composition is definitely a challenge here, and I expected that because trying to fit a rectangle inside of a square is really awkward. Also that night, I like got off my computer and I was just doing some stuff on my phone. Like this was very much like a spur of the moment type of thing. And so I just like drafted up a few things on Pixar as well, because even though I like clowned on the Want So Bad art looking like it was made in Pixar's like a really good way to just like get drafts going. Like if I'm just laying in bed, because it doesn't look as good as Photoshop, but it's so much easier and so much more intuitive. These are some drafts that I made in Pixar. I wanted to see if I could just use the coin because I liked the yin and yang and the like SKZ logo in there. But I feel like it could be more grand, but I do like this. I think even this like as a concept is a little bit better than what we have in real life currently. I also made this draft that incorporates the logo in a different way, and I really liked it, so I made a version of it in Photoshop. And then a few days later, they released visuals for what some of their physical albums look like, and one of the versions, looks kind of similar in terms of the composition, which I thought was interesting, but it doesn't use the logo like mine does, and I kind of like that mine does. Even though I did like this concept, I kept thinking back to the billboard. I was like, can I make this billboard work in the album cover? So I made more drafts of that, and I spent most of my time on this. I took a concept photo that fit the size of the billboard well, and then I added the Karma typography on top of it, with some of it behind the members and some of it overlapping to kind of give a little bit of an interaction. I thought that looked cool, but I also wasn't loving the template. I didn't like that it was just completely straight on. And so I found this other template where the billboard is more of an angle. And so I started working with that, and I played around with a lot of different backgrounds, adjusting the size and the color. And after like 3 or 4 versions of the background, I finally found one that I liked. I wanted it to feel kind of like that scene in the trailer where Hyunjin is on top of the building and there's like this cityscape behind him. And I was finally starting to get there. Then I added the logo and the Stray Kids' 4th album text to it, and this is what I had. So I was like, okay, not bad, but let me live with it a little bit and see how I feel once Karma is released. So now we've hit the point in the timeline where Karma is out, and let's talk about it because it's important to understand the album to reflect it in its visuals. When describing Karma, Felix referred to this track list as their Avengers, which at first I thought was kind of silly, but what he meant is that there's no filler. They put their best in here, and each song could be a single. And I kind of agree. My first knee-jerk reaction to this album was, it's short. It feels really short. And compared to their other full-length albums, it is a little bit. Go Live and No Easy both had 14 tracks, and 5 Star had 12. Karma has 11 tracks, and 2 of those are remixes. So really, there's only 9 tracks on this album. But there's no filler. Like, aside from those remixes, I'm not really skipping the way I am with 5 Star. For instance, like 5 Star is an album that I press play on a lot, especially because that first 5-track run is kind of unmatched. But then you get a little bit further, and there are songs that I don't like. And some of those I skip them like every time. But I don't feel this way about Karma at all. So they're saying that the album is exciting and impactful and that the concept is this big event because listening to it feels like an event. The album comes out, and I agree. It totally feels like that. But the album cover does not reflect that feeling. So now I'm looking at the one I made, and I'm like, okay, we're starting to get there, but what are some changes that I want to make? I spent a lot of time looking at the bit that says Stray Kids' 4th album. Is that necessary? I don't think it's necessary. People don't care. They're constantly towing the line between EP, mixtape, and album anyways. It's going. So I took it off, and then I cropped it a little bit, and then I added some fireworks in the background for a little more excitement. And here it is. It's not perfect, but it really achieved my goals of capturing the concept better than the original and then the one that's actually the cover. Both of those. I think is a step up from the billboard, and it's certainly a step up from the actual digital cover that we have. It reflects the concept. The billboard feels like it's advertising an event. And this album is an event. Also, I know a lot of fans wanted to see the members on the cover. That was an issue they had with the original, is that they were skewed on that billboard. I think this is a better solution to that. This is just a digital cover. I didn't do anything for a physical version because I'm tired. And that's like, oh God, the physical ones are like a whole other beast. It was very, go girl, give us nothing. But ideally, it would look pretty similar. I think if you're trying to communicate a concept, you should stick to that, be consistent as much as you can. I'm sure some people like the official album cover. People have different tastes, but I don't think the bar was very hard to clear. So next time I make a video, maybe it won't be about Stray Kids album covers, because this is a very specific thing, isn't it? Maybe it'll just be about album covers, or just about Stray Kids. Imagine if I could keep this going. That'd be crazy. Okay, bye!